Hello and welcome back to the Kerry Garden Show. Alan Finn back with you again for another season of gardening tips here in association with Boyles of Killorglin. We're right outside. The rain clouds are hovering just over, so we're going to head inside and try and find our garden expert Trish, who's going to be giving us some tips on what you could be doing right now to get ready for the season ahead. Found ourselves a nice little corner here in Boyles of Killorglin where I have found our gardening expert Trish. How are you doing, Trish?
I'm very good, Alan, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes, indeed. We're back in action again.
Back in action. Now, we are, of course, not quite in the garden centre because there's lots of exciting news here at Boyles of Killorglin, Trish.
Very exciting. Watch this space going ahead.
The garden centre is under construction.
It is. At the moment, it's under construction. We hope to have it done, finished, full of plants and everything in the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant.
But at the moment it is under construction, but definitely something to look forward to now. Yeah.
So another thing, I suppose, it works perfectly into what we're doing because people's gardens should probably be under construction as well too, and getting ready, and that's what we're going to start off with here at the moment on our first garden show of 2022. So Trish, we're here in March. What can be done? The weather, it's still a bit up and down. We've thunderstorms, we've blue skies, there's still a bit of cold and stuff like that. What should people be looking at trying to do now at the moment, or what can they kind of do?
Yeah, I suppose like that now. I suppose January was good. People were able to get out in their garden. February, half of it was good, half of it was a disaster. March now is starting off wet as well. I suppose what we're going to talk about first is planting your potatoes.
Okay.
Now, we've been selling potatoes since January, and people wonder, do you know, why are you selling them in January? We wouldn't be planting them until March, end of March, April.
Yeah.
But you need to sprout them first.
Okay.
But now, I suppose you go back to the original thing of everybody said you had to plant your potatoes.
Before St. Patrick's Day, wasn't
exactly.
That was
it.
Yeah.
But that day is gone because
because of climate change, I suppose.
Now
really,
you said,
it's
now
just
you
all
said
over
it,
the
Alan.
place.
Yeah.
Last year, remember, we had a late frost and anything like that. So putting anything into the ground at the moment, it's kind of very, very risky. So as you're saying, the best thing to do with the potatoes is to start sprouting them.
Yes, exactly. Now I have a potato here. The people that are on Facebook will be able to see. If you get your potato right, you can see tiny little sprouts on this particular one. Now with potatoes, there's what's called first earlies. There's second earlies and your main crop.
Okay.
Right? Now your first and your second earlies, they'll take about 2 to 3 months before you'll actually have a potato.
Okay.
Right? But what you need to do with all potatoes first before you put them into the ground is sprout them. Now when I mean sprouting them, it means that a little green shoot comes out of them.
Now Trish, before we go anywhere, I've got a few potatoes in my utility at the moment that are starting to sprout.
I'm going to say no straight away.
So that's one thing that people might actually think, that they probably just think, oh sure, look, I'm not going to cook this, so maybe I'll stick it in the ground. But there's a couple of things people need to be aware of.
When you buy potatoes here in the garden centre, they're certified. Now when I say they're certified, it means they're certified from getting diseases.
Right.
So say for instance you're buying your potatoes in your supermarket, they're just ordinary potatoes, so they're not certified and they're not disease free.
Okay.
So if you plant what you have in your garden or in your garage or whatever, they could get blight, they could get diseases, they could get eelworm, they could get everything.
So you could basically be contaminating the soil and everything.
Plus 1 or 2 of them might get disease, but it'll infect the whole crop, and your crop then will be useless. So stick to certified potatoes and do it right from the start.
Will we stick them in the compost maybe? Is that the place for them?
Exactly.
Yeah, the compost bin?
Yeah, that's it, definitely. So to sprout them then, as I say, it's like little green shoots. So where to sprout them? So you need to put them in egg cartons or cardboard boxes. Put them in separately. Try not to touch them with each other. You'll see there's a little sprout in this one, so have that side facing up.
Okay,
yes.
Right. So it's already starting to make the little bit of growth.
Exactly.
So putting it upside down would defeat the purpose.
No, that's it. So the thing is to put it in a well-lit place then as well. So put it in your shed that's kind of more or less frost-free, and that the light will be able to get into it as well.
Okay, so obviously if you've only got a small window in your shed, it probably won't work.
No, not if you're planting a lot, but if you're only doing a few of them, you could put them on the windowsill, but if you're expecting frost in the night, take them away then from the windowsill then as well.
Yeah.
So how high do you let the sprouts get then before you do it? So you're letting them up maybe about about not even an inch, like that would be the sprout coming up out of it. So when to plant them then, or what sort of soil do you plant them in or whatever. So if you're planting them into the ground, dig in farmyard manure, and that'll enrich your soil then as well. But the soil needs to be drain free as well, so not waterlogged. Because you can imagine if you put in your potato, it's waterlogged, what's going to happen?
It's going to rot.
It's going to rot. Exactly. Yeah. Now, the thing is how far to plant them down. Do you plant them deep or whatever? Because you've got all this earthing up that people call with potatoes as well.
Yeah, is that right from the start, Trish, or is that a later in the process?
It's a later in the process. So basically, a potato then, when it does sprout, obviously the sprouting goes on the top, right? You plant it about 4 to 6 inches deep in your soil. You'll cover it over then. But as the sprouts start to come up throughout the season,
then you start covering it up.
That's when you earth up and cover it up.
What you're doing there then is you're helping it to keep driving and
exactly.
Keep
So
going.
if you can imagine, if you're putting the soil up the whole time, you've more depth in soil, so you have more potatoes or tubers or what they're called coming then. Yeah. So the spacing distance between one row and another, you'd want to leave them about 2 foot, so that you have enough soil on either side then to be scraping up and putting into what's called a ridge as it's going on. But we'll go through this as the season goes on, or we might be able to show you as well a plot or whatever and what to be doing. But once the greenery comes up, make sure to earth up. And maybe then in about a month's time to give them a good feed of nitrogen then as well, or even 10-10-20, or we have potato fertilizer there as well.
And the type of soil, as always, Trish, you always talk about it and refer to it. It's important to either find out what type of soil you have in your garden first.
That's
right. As well as adding, of course, you're adding the manure and the fertilizer, but what's underneath it and what's in your garden is probably important too.
Exactly. I mean, you can buy a small little soil testing kit then as well, not even for potatoes, but for any shrubs or trees or anything that you're planting in the garden, just to do a simple soil test at the start of the year, and at least you can come in then to the garden centre, look at this is what I have.
What would suit it?
Exactly. And it's simple, like, I mean, there's enough of us in here, we'll be able to help you anyway to, go through plants, go through the potatoes, go through veg and see what's suitable for your garden. Now, I suppose like that, when planting your potatoes, if you planted them last year in a spot, you can't plant them in the same spot again.
So this is all about the turnover of the soil.
Exactly.
Really,
usually what it is, it's a 4-year rotation. So you'd have your potatoes in one spot this year, and then by the time you go back to this spot, it's year 5 again. Right? And that is very important. And why is it important? Because you're causing diseases in the ground if you put it back into the same spot. They could get eelworm and they'll get all types of diseases.
So is it that soil where the potatoes were planted last year, is it good for anything else?
Yes, it is.
You could put other
vegetables.
So it is a case of not having to leave it for a whole year dormant.
Oh, not at all. No. See, if you've got your vegetables, you've got your cabbages and everything. Usually cabbages, cauliflower, broccoli, they're known as brassicas. So they all stay in one section, whereas you've got your carrots, your parsnips, your beetroot. Onions and all your kind of root vegetables. So you can rotate it in that you got your potatoes, you got your broccoli and all that, and then you've got your onions and your carrots, and you rotate them all around like that.
And how about anybody who's actually done maybe just a small little kind of a raised area, because I've seen that in a lot of houses, and a lot of people would actually do it, where you just get a little kind of a raised bed and you kind of put it specifically for growing potatoes. What happens then? Are we talking about taking out the soil and replacing it?
If you have no other place, usually you're better off even if you had 2 or 3 raised beds. But I know that's not great, like, and a lot of people don't have the space. So you need to replace the soil and replenish the soil with new soil for doing that. I mean, the soil that comes out of that potato thing, you could put it around your shrubs. It doesn't have to be wasted that you're throwing it away or anything like that. You could put it, mulch it around your trees, your hedging, and then replace your...
So it's not that it's just the soil is no good for anything else. That's what I was kind of trying to get at when you were talking about the disease. It's only potato on potato.
Exactly.
But it can be perfectly used around different parts of your garden and replenish it.
That's it.
Super. So as I said, we will revisit this as we go along. But we've got lots of bags here. What have we got? We've got some curpinks, roosters.
They would be all main crops.
They're
and
main
then
crops.
Behind you there, Alan, as well on the ground, we've got just there, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
We've got what's called blight resistant.
Okay, main Kelly. This is a main crop as well.
Main crop,
Kelly.
and it's the variety of it is Kelly, and we've got Sapamira as well. Now, both of them are blight resistant. Now, how do you get blight? It's from all the rain we have in Ireland, I'm afraid. And of course, a lot of people don't want to be spraying their potatoes now. So if you buy a variety that's blight resistant, you won't have to spray. So they're two good varieties. And also first earlies then, I've got Orla, which is a blight and disease resistant as well. We've also got Home Guards and British Queens, which are quite popular varieties then as well. I suppose like that now, why are we planting first earlies and main crops and everything? Obviously because the first earlies and the seconds come earlier in the season. You can eat them straight away, they don't store. But your main crop then will be coming later. You're talking about August, September. And you can store them then for the season as well. So we've got all the different varieties. Like that one now is another one as well as Maris Piper and Charlotte. There's a lot of new varieties that's out. Come into us, we can go through the varieties with you.
And then obviously then you're talking about when you're looking to harvest, what to do.
Exactly.
And this could be in a part of your garden where, you're not going to have flowers, or things are going to come in different stages. And we always talk about that as well too, about trying to design the garden in a way where there's always something coming on.
And that's the best way to do it. Like, I mean, like, as I say, even the first areas, even though by right they should be planted kind of at the end of February, because the weather has been so bad, you'd hold off. There's no rush. Don't be getting into a panic and going, I need to plant my potatoes now, Patrick's Day is coming. Buy them though and sprout them and have them, because varieties will be going. Potatoes are selling fast, so.
And what if people had them and they were sprouting them, but the weather was still really bad? Is there a danger that you can leave them sprouting for too long? Or
you
what
can,
would you do?
Because the sprout could break off very easily then. So you'd nearly have to plant them, but the earthing up then is the most important thing. Because if you're getting the greenery protected by the soil around it, that will protect it then from the frost.
So but see as we go, and as you said, we'll talk about it as we kind of come along to get people going, because a load of people, so many people
everybody,
love growing and being
I like that
self-sufficient.
as well. We've got small bags, 2.5 kg bags.
And I see there's the big massive bags.
We've got a 25 kg bag, and we sell an awful lot of them now. A lot of people, like, potatoes are very popular, as you know.
We do love our spuds. We love our spuds, so we do, absolutely. Great stuff. So that's great to keep it up, and there's plenty of fertilizers and stuff that you have here that can help them bring along as well too. So another thing that people can be doing is planting for the summer, or planting for little bulbs. You've got a great selection of colour here, and I'm just wondering, these aren't going in the ground either, are they?
No, they're not. Now, I know last year we were always on about looking forward and putting in flowers where you think there mightn't be enough colour. So say if you've got a shrub bed and you've got loads of shrubs, the flower, they've nice greenery and everything, but you want the nice pretty flowers, blasts of colour in between. These are what I'm talking about. Now, these are dahlias, and these are absolutely fabulous.
Wow, they're beautiful colours now for anyone who's listening on the radio. They're absolutely stunning. A beautiful pink, and like with a little kind of a peach tinge, and then a deep purple with a white tip. That's fantastic. Wow. And
there's lovely oranges there as well. But again now, people that are on Facebook, I'm just going to show you when you're getting the bulbs, right? A lot of people go, that looks dead.
It does.
What am I doing with that?
What do I do? And I'd also kind of go, which way is up?
Yes,
I'm kind of going, which way is
and
up?
that's one of the most important things, Alan, as well. So basically, this one is all, they're corms, they're called, and they're like legs. So the legs go down. There's a little stalk at the top of that.
And as you said, that does look dead. But
it does look dead, but it's not. It's alive.
Dormant is what we might say.
Dormant is the right word. So what you do is you plant that down about 4 to 6 inches deep in the soil. You'd have the stalk of it, because that's where the sprout is going to come out of it. So you'd have that just underneath the soil. Now the thing with these bulbs as well, that looks very dry. So what I would do with that is to soak it in water for about an hour before you plant it. And what the water does, it plumps up the corm, and it's actually better long term, because it'll bring on the flower better and it'll sprout better as well. So slightly tepid water, bucket of water, throw them all into it, and they're nice and plump then.
So that'll just
so like that, there's all different planting depths and everything, but on each packet we can describe it with
all the instructions are there.
The instructions on it. It shows you what height they're going to grow, when's the flowering time, when you plant them, and how many tubers are in the bag.
Beautiful. And we have lilies. There's some gorgeous, beautiful lilies here.
There's fabulous
begonias, lilies. And it's fantastic colour. And
now I'm just going to go through a begonia with you as well, because they're a different type of a bulb. Again, now I'll just open up the packet there. That's the bulb that you're getting, and you're wondering again which way did I plant it. There's usually a depressed area in the centre of the bulb, right? And that is the top part of it. Right. Now with this bulb as well, I'd put it in water for about an hour before planting, but don't plant it too deep. If you plant these too deep, they'll rot. So basically they only go just barely under the surface of the soil.
Right.
Now you were asking before, don't plant them into the ground yet.
Yes.
It's too early.
Yes.
So what I would do is I'd start these off in pots or window boxes or cardboard boxes or something like that.
Yeah.
And let them sprout up. And when the season's ready, then when the frost is gone, you can plant them in between your shrubs.
Brilliant. I can see people having a lot of areas of their shed and house covered with little books and stuff like that. But that's all part of it.
Yeah. It'll be well worth it.
You know, at the end of the day, as you say, we're protecting them for them to be planted in the soil very, very soon. Hopefully, when the weather kind of picks up,
warms up a bit,
then things will be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Trish, that is brilliant. It's great to see you. It's great to be back here on the Garden Show and talking about plenty of spuds and lots of things for people to be doing and looking at your garden and kind of going, do you know what? I could do an row of spuds over there now, and it could be very nice having them in. So listen, as always, thank you very much, Trish. That is pretty much it for our first showdown from 2022. And of course, do remember, we will have the video up on Facebook where you'll be able to see everything that we're talking about and follow us along. And if you have any questions, do of course put them underneath the videos, or you can get in contact with us at Radio Kerry. From myself, Alan, Finn and Trish here at Boyles of Killorglin, we'll see you next time. Happy gardening.